Hi, today we're going to do something just a little bit different. It's still preserving, but instead of canning, today I'm frying okra to put in the freezer, and it will be completely fried done so that whenever I want to have okra for a meal, I can take it out, either heat it up in the microwave or I can put it back in the skillet and heat it up that way. So I want to show you here what I'm going to do. Turn that where you can see. I've got a big bowl here. You can see I've got several pounds of okra there. And the first thing that I'm going to do is pour just a little bit of buttermilk through it. This is to coat it so that it will catch the flour and stuff better. So I'm going to stir that into it. I may have to add a little bit more to it because I want it all to be wet with the buttermilk. Pour me just a little bit more through it. Don't want it real wet, just enough to get the flour and cornmeal to stick to it. Just keep stirring it around in that buttermilk, and then we'll see. Okay, that looks like it's getting it coated pretty good. You can see, I think, the little bit, just a little, so y'all can see a little bit more. I think you can see that the buttermilk is coating it pretty good. So, and then the next thing I'm going to do is just to sprinkle some salt around on it. Stir that in, and then sprinkle a little bit more. Okay, so now it's all coated real good. It should be coated pretty good with salt now. So the next thing I'm going to do is add some cornmeal and some flour. I'm just going to sprinkle some cornmeal on it. And it'll take a pretty good amount of cornmeal to coat it all pretty good. Get me some flour. And it doesn't matter if you're using self-rising or if you're using plain flour. You can use either one. Okay, so I've got that coated and covered pretty good with that, and I'll probably have to add a little more in a minute to get it covered really well. This makes a really, really good addition to a meal, and especially if you're from the South, you know about fried okra. Now, some of you might think, okay, I've only had okra pickled. Put some more of this on there. But fried okra is a Southern tradition. I don't remember a time in my life when we didn't have a big skillet full of fried okra from time to time, especially in the summer months. Add some cucumbers and tomatoes with it, and one of the ways that I really, really like to cook it is to dice up some potatoes in it, and I can mix this even after it's been fried. I have potatoes that are cooked or that are canned that are diced, and I can mix the two of them together, throw some onion into the pan, maybe even some bacon in the pan, and it just makes a really good, it's almost like having a whole meal in one dish when you do it that way. Okay, I want just a little bit more coating on it. Okay, see if that does it. You can see that having that buttermilk on it is coating it really well. And I'm going to get my skillet turned on and let my grease start getting hot. And then y'all can see how it does whenever you put it in the skillet. A skillet with good hot grease will keep that coating on it because it starts cooking it immediately if the grease is hot enough. And you can tell if the grease is hot because it starts to look wavy. So, get that all coated real good. And then, put some in the skillet. Now I'm going to move this camera back over on the other side so that you can see. I've got my skillet here heating up. It's not quite hot enough yet. I should have had it turned on a little bit before then. But anyways, I'll wait just a minute until it's hot enough and then I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. And I think you can probably see there that the oil is beginning to get that wavy look to it. And one way to test it is just to pick up one piece and drop it in. And you can see there, you can see how that's beginning to bubble around it. And I want it to bubble just a little bit better than that, so I'm going to let it get even hotter than that. And then I'll have to turn the stove down a little. But you can see here that my okra has got coated really well. Let's see here, I think it's probably hot enough now. Well, I thought it was. It's not quite. It's bubbling, but it's just not bubbling quite as much as I like it. Okay, so you can see it's a bubbling good now. So I don't want to put too much in it because I want it all to be able to get into that grease. And by the way, I'm using some bacon grease there. I save bacon grease. And so, we'll just let that cook, and we'll see how long it takes for it to start turning brown, and then we'll be back. I want to show you now, if you start looking around the edges, you'll see a few places. There's one right in the middle. There's one on the edge right there that's beginning to get just a little bit of brown on it. You don't want to stir this around. You want to just let it cook until you start seeing some significant brown around the edges, and then you'll know it's ready to flip. Okay, so you can see I flipped just a little bit right here in the middle. See right there, and it's already beginning to turn brown. See there, that's beginning to turn brown. So I'm going to start flipping some of it. Oh yeah, it's beginning to look real good now. Much more than that, and it would start to look burnt instead of just brown. So keep going, get it flipped. Okay, now once you get it flipped, don't keep stirring it around because you don't want to knock the coating off of the okra. Just let it cook. It might take 10 minutes because you don't want it on high. I've got it on a medium heat, and so let it stay there for 8 or 10 minutes and just keep checking little at a time to see if it's turning brown, and you might have to flip it again. Okay, so it's been about probably 8 minutes, something like that, and you can see how pretty and brown this is. And so it's ready to go in my container for letting the grease strip off of it, and then I'll start another batch. So, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with it to put it in the freezer. Okay, so I'm going to now put these in, or this batch anyway. I've put it in a pan here with some paper towel in the bottom of it to absorb some of the grease off of it. And so I've got a vacuum seal bag here. I'm just going to spoon this in to the vacuum seal bag, and then I've got a Food Saver vacuum sealer, and I'm going to vacuum seal it and put it in the freezer. And the vacuum seal bag will help keep it from being freezer burned. And I mean, I've used it out of the freezer after I vacuum seal it, 18 months or 2 years after I've put it in there, and without it having any problems whatsoever with frost or with freezer burn. So air and water on your produce, if you put them in the freezer dry, they'll come out tasting fresh. So anyway, that's all there is to frying okra. And I promise you, look at that. That is so good. Might have to have me some of that with my meal tonight. Very good. Anyway, I will let you go now. I don't think you want to hear this vacuum sealer. So until next time, God bless you.